Number 7, Michigan, with a strong second half, and that propels them to a 25-point win over Middle Tennessee State while running their record to 4-0. That's right, 4-0 for the Michigan Wolverines on the hardwood to start 2025. Welcome in to the Michigan Basketball Postgame Live Show. We are here after every Michigan basketball game, and tonight Michigan was a big-time favorite, and they win it going away in the second half. If you watch this game from start to finish, there were some runs in the first half, and the Blue Raiders were, feisty, where they ended up getting down by double figures, but they fought back, got pretty close. I think they got within a possession and closed the half with an and one to get within a half dozen. But then in the second half, Michigan was able to really assert themselves, and they played way better in the second half than they did in the first half. I mean, that reflects in the score, but if you were watching it, they seem to click in a lot more. They were definitely better passing the ball and breaking the pressure that Middle Tennessee State had and was slapping on them right out of the gate. Now, right out of the gate, it wasn't a pretty thing. There were some turnovers. Elliot Cadeau, I don't know, like a hook pass that ended up 10 rows into the seats. I don't know what was going on there. He had another turnover early on, and the thought is that Michigan's going to see a lot of pressure this year, full court pressure, trying to speed Elliot Cadeau up. But to Cadeau's credit, Michigan's credit overall, that was a good test for them, and then they were able to get it going in the second half. Now, you could say that this is something that against a better team, they could be in trouble. I think that's fair. But guess what? Next week, we're going to find out. They're going to be playing better teams when they go to the desert and Vegas and that NIL tournament that they will be participating in consecutive days. So we're about to find out. I mean, they've got some things to work on for sure and work through, and we're ready to see, I think, early test, litmus test to see if they're ready for prime time. And if they'll put that 4-0 record on the line, not clicking at first, but another takeaway, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that Yax started to look more like a star, and the ball was going through him, and you could see the confidence in his game. You could also see the confidence in the players around him. He was handling the ball more. He revealed that hand that he injured that kept him out of the starting lineup of the first game, and that he had a wrap on, that he had banged it into Morez Johnson Jr.'s elbow in practice. He said it's fine, but it was also a hand that he had broke while he was at UAB, is same hand. And while he did say that he was pain-free, he put it at 80 to 85%. So, not 100%, but pain-free. But, if you're a shooter and when you go out, you have to be 100% confident that you're firing it up there and that it's going to go through. And so that can take a little bit of time coming back, the mental part along with the physical part, to connect that. And it felt like he had a little bit of that connection tonight, which is a good sign to me. Remember, we're here after every Michigan basketball game. It was interesting that Michigan threw out yet another starting lineup. They had Cadeau and Burnett in the backcourt and Morez Johnson Jr. and Yaxel on the front line, but then Will Cheddar, getting the nod in the starting lineup. Ade Mara coming off the bench in this one, so that definitely was something that was noteworthy. as you watch this one. And U of M was up by a dozen, by as many as a dozen in the first half, but then they led by a half dozen at the break with that and one that the Red Raiders had. Also of note in this one, there was an early challenge by Dusty May, and he won that one. And then there was also a challenge by Dusty May in the second half, and he won that one 2-0 on challenges for Michigan, as that is involved in the college game. Working through that is, taking one or looking at one. I thought it was an interesting challenge. It was really early in the game, and it was Roddy Gale. And Gale was like, I didn't touch it. But I don't know. It would be interesting to see. Michigan will have their staff and they'll have their iPad and they'll be able to look at it. Did they have the clean look, or were they just going on Gale saying, no, I didn't touch it? Because the first replay that you looked at, even though Gale, didn't touch it, you couldn't tell definitively. It was not irrefutable video evidence. And I'm thinking, do you just go on a player? And I don't even know how much you can trust players. Nothing against Gale. He might be the most trustworthy person in the world, but watching basketball, guys never, I don't know about never, but a lot of times they're over there acting like it's a 100% thing. And then it's like, what are you talking about? That wasn't a 100% thing. But when you did get another view, and maybe that's what Michigan saw, it was clear video, irrefutable video evidence, and they were able to win that challenge. So good job. And then, as the broadcast alluded to, in the second half on that challenge, it was the Mays Rage who was calling for the challenge, and Dusty obliged. And so maybe Michigan 2-0 on challenges, but also the Mays Rage 1-0 on challenges. Interesting to see how that will end up playing out as the season goes on. Michigan winning it 86-61. Let's look at some of the, not just some of them. We'll look at the individual numbers and see what stands out as we work through it. Yeah, Yaks, 25 points and 12 boards, the double-double. I'll say that he had it going, working through it and looking pretty good. 9 of 12 from the floor, 2 of 5 from downtown, 5 of 5 from the charity stripe. You like all of that. 2 steals, 1 block. This is the Yaks that was talked about as being this 5-tool player, the guy that could shoot, pass, dribble, block shots, and get steals. And you saw it all on display. No turnovers for Lendenborg as well. The player, the Maize and Blue Review player of the game, Yaxel Lendenborg. Elliot Cadeau talked about his early struggles, but he rounded into shape in the second half, seemed much better. Those 2 turnovers, as I look at his line, I believe were in the first minute of the game, if not even the first 2 possessions of the game for Michigan. And then he was clean the rest of the way, ends up with 10 points, 2 boards, 1 feed, and it was a wraparound, no-look feed down low, pretty sweet for Cadeau, who was 3 of 6 from the field and 1 of 3 from downtown. He was pretty good from the charity stripe as well, 3 for 4. Morez Johnson Jr., like to see him get going a little bit more, 9 and 7 for the big man, the transfer from Illinois. Cheddar in the starting lineup, drained the first shot of the game for a 3, ended up with 5 points, 1 board, and 1 assist. Namari Burnett is also someone that I would look at that has been slow to get things going this season for Michigan, and they're going to need more from Namari, and I think we could all say in particular from downtown. Mara comes off the bench and goes 10 and 10. The big fella, Roddy Gale, I liked Gale, except I had to go back and look at it. He makes, he does what this will come as no surprise. If, you weren't watching the game or you weren't watching it closely, just some inexplicable turnovers. He had one where Cadeau was standing there. They were taking the ball out right in front of the Michigan bench on the out of bounds. And instead of throwing it Cadeau, he throws it all the way across the court. I don't know who he was trying to get the ball to. I think Yaks, but it's just like one of those where it was totally ill-advised. But, that's what Gale would get. But some other things that he did, he looked really solid. I don't know. It's like something triggers where he just has to. It's almost like he closes his eyes and just throws the ball out there. I know he doesn't do that. He just makes some inexplicable turnovers, and he did have 3 of them. Mara, as we're talking about the turnovers, he had 4. Dusty says, that he's this elite passer. He tried a baseball pass ahead that wasn't any good. Nick Stoskis was on the color analysis. He didn't like that one. He threw a couple behind the back, and behind the back's okay, but he wasn't very accurate with it, a little bit low. And I don't know, Mara maybe needs to check the flashiness and just try to go with the easy pass. LJ Kaysen contributed 8 points, 3 boards, 3 assists. There you go. LJ coming along. Not the greatest night for Mr. McKinney, who did drain a sweet looking 3 from the corner. But other than that, 1 of 10 from the field, including 1 of 7 from downtown for Trey McKinney. He'll have better days. That's the freshman, sometimes up, sometimes down. And then you look at it here, you got some guys getting in late, and let's say it, Malik Cordell with his first points for the Maize and Blue, the big center. He got in, and there you go. May, to the delight of the crowd, also in, did not and was not able to hoist any shots up or anything like that. All right, that's the long and short of it. A couple other things for Michigan. They come into today in terms of the rankings. They are number 7 in the AP poll, number 14, Ken Palm. It's really early for all of this. We know that. Next week is when we really start to, see what's up with this team and if they're going to be able to come together and do some things. And having said that, let's check the upcoming schedule. It's brought to you by the Maize and Blue Review. Give yourself or that fan in your life the gift of the Maize and Blue Review. Go to on3.com, hit that subscribe button. All basketball talk all the time, all day, all night when you want it. And same thing on the football side. It's Michigan, and you'll love it. I guarantee it. So here is that schedule as we take a look at it. It's called the Players Era NIL tourney out in Vegas. Michigan will be out there. And if you like staying up late, well, next week is for you, in particular on Monday. Michigan will take on San Diego State, Dutch's team, and that gets underway at 10:30. So a late night desert game, 10:30, Michigan and San Diego State. Very next day, they go right back at it. It'll be Michigan taking on Auburn, and that one will be at 8:30. The Monday game is on True TV, so they have to look forward a little bit, be like the NCAA tournament, and looking for that True TV. The only time I've ever looked on True TV, and then this will be the other time, is coming up on Monday night, and then TNT for Michigan and Auburn, 8:30. And then if they win that game, they are going to be taking on, there's a lot of teams in this tourney, but you could see a team like Kansas, St. John's, Houston, Oregon, Alabama, Gonzaga. I mean, right up and down there, some top teams. So you'd love to see Michigan get into this championship game and play someone like Kansas, St. John's, and Houston, because then you get the measuring stick. Then when you start seeing things, it's, you're still in November, a long way before you get to March Madness, a long way before you do play those 2 Big Ten games in 2025 here, but the bulk, of course, of the conference season is in the new year. But this is the early test to see what Michigan's all about. Are they worthy of being in the top 10? That's what we're ready to find out come Monday. And if you want to make a case for, Michigan's a top 10 team, you say Yaks has come around. And we'll see. The turnovers were there early, but they started to take care of that in the second half. That's always something that you're going to keep an eye on. If you're a Michigan basketball fan, let's take a look overall where they ended up in the turnover department. I probably should every time write down where they're at in the first half and second half. 13th. So you're going to take, if this team, certainly single digits would be great, but for me, this team, if they're under 15, I'm giving them the thumbs up. And still, with 13, there were at least 2 by Mara. Like, when you say you're going to clean things up, people are like, what does that mean? Well, they'll look at the film and they say, okay, a day, there's no reason to, a little lackadaisical on the wraparound, Showtime bounce pass. No need for that. I'm sure they show Roddy Gale, his different turnovers, and they say there's no need for that too. And you got a guy standing right in front of him 10 feet, and instead he throws it over his head for 20 feet and kind of a lollipop pass. I could have picked that one off. So I don't know how they emphasize that to Gale. Roddy, what are you looking at here? Just take the easy one. So a few of those, and if they're just making, they say smart passes, just the easy pass, you're not even in double digits when it comes down to that. So all good for Michigan, 4-0, feeling good. You're feeling good. Thanks for tuning in. We're here after every Michigan game. That includes late night on Monday as we get into the short week, the holiday week, Michigan, Ohio State next week, and then Michigan basketball takes center stage Monday, Tuesday, and hopefully Wednesday. We'll see you for all of those. We'll see you on this very channel coming up on Friday, a football Friday, taking you to Michigan's last road game of the football season. So lots going on. It's exciting. Holidays right around the corner. What more could you ask for? That'll do it. Michigan wins this one again by 25 over Middle Tennessee State, 86-61. Talk to you later, folks. Thanks for joining us.